So OpenAI have really mastered the AI world. But how's their API? Let's use API insights to find out how good it is. So if you don't know who OpenAI are, you've probably been living under a rock for a while. They are an amazing AI company that just works. We've been struggling with AI for years. They've mastered it. Fair play to them. If you look at their documentation, it is very good. It is great quality documentation, and you can get everything you need to know from it. The only thing that you can't get is their Open API specification. For that, you do have to go to GitHub. You can download it quite easily. It comes in YAML format. Once you've got it, there's a little bit of tidy up that you've got to do. But after that, we can upload it to API Insights. So, as usual, we just drag the file onto API Insights and upload. Within a few seconds, we've got our report. So for those who haven't seen the previous videos, each API Insights report gives a score. It's broken down between A and F, which equates to a percentage. The higher it is, the better it is. And we do this over design, performance, and security. But let's take a look at the design. As you can see, we're failing on 4 of the 7 possible tests. And what we're failing on here is robust responses. The Open API specification just isn't full enough. It's only showing happy paths and the odd unhappy path. When you're building an Open API spec, you want to make sure that you document all potential responses so that anybody who uses your API can interact with it properly. We're also failing on consistent pluralization. Now, a lot of the time, it makes sense not to always pluralize, but what I'm seeing with this API is that it's more action-driven than resource-driven. So let's talk about performance for a moment. What we're seeing here is what I'd call a typical API. It's very action-driven, so the fact that it's not caching any responses, absolutely fine, probably makes sense for their use case. Other than that, it is a good score, and I'd say if you're scoring this level on your API, you did a good job. Finally, what some would consider the most important part, security. Open API have got a pretty good score. There's some optional headers that they might want to add just to increase that security a little bit more, but overall we've got a good report here, and I'd say that Open API is probably one of the better ones that I've seen. There's areas it could improve, such as performance, but I'd say it's a good API. So, as usual, we want to look at the report. We might want to look at it a bit later on. So, up on the top right, you can click the export, which will give you a nice PDF that you can look through, keep in your records, or go back to at any point. And it gives you a really good point-in-time reference to how your API is improved. So what good is a report if you can't share it? As usual, I store mine in my notes on my Mac because it's easier. You can share that through a URL, through Twitter, you can email it. There's many ways you can share it, tapping into that native sharing function of your device. Being the techie that I am, obviously I have to share it to Twitter. So, open up Twitter, copy the URL in, other people can see it and give you feedback. So, overall, OpenAI have got a pretty good API. Going through that API Insights report, we can understand how they're approaching their API and why they might be doing it that way. Remember, if you want to use API Insights, you can visit apiinsights.io or use our native Mac app. Just search API Insights in the Mac Store and download.